So for the past several years, late night television just isn't what it used to be. I think that a lot of you out there will agree with me on this, but those out there like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers just don't really hit the mark when it comes to what Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien had to offer, and among others as well back in the day. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So Jimmy Kimmel, he's been saying very ridiculous things in recent days for obvious reasons, and Jimmy Kimmel has been pretty much on this train for years upon years at this point. He really always says outlandish things to the general public, to those that even follow him or watch his material on ABC via the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, which by the way, ratings are not doing too well at all in recent days. We'll have a lot more to talk about that by the end of this week, but what's interesting here has a lot more to do with Jimmy Kimmel saying yet another outlandish thing toward the general public that really makes you scratch your head and realize what's going on with this guy, what's going on in this man's mind. So we already know that Jimmy Kimmel is by far one of the worst late night television hosts out there, and I've said this multiple times, I've made this very clear, I never found the guy funny, even back on the Comedy Central days with The Man Show, even then I thought he was just okay. Ever since he got, the late night show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, he got very much egotistical, he got very much self-absorbed, but that's just the beginning of it all. Now, focusing on Kimmel here, we know that there's a lot of things going on between people like himself, Robert De Niro, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Stephen Colbert, and among others within the Hollywood bubble that are beginning to crumble. Now, specifically, with the film industry already going through massive backlash right now in recent days, especially after both actors, actresses, producers, directors, and more have been attacking the general public, one monumental development going on now involves more to do with Jimmy Kimmel and what he recently had to deliver to the public about how he views the current status of both the country and the world. It's been a very sad week for us, for all of us, he says, a very, very sad time, and all I can say right now, and what I have to point out is that there is a reason for all of that. There is a reason for why we are here right now. It turns out the majority of this country is still dealing with a great deal of sexism, misogyny, and bigotry from all corners of the country, and I am truly and deeply offended by how the people want things to be this way. I have been with you all for years, and I will continue to bring my message across, but this is an extremely emotional time for all human beings. We need to tackle down the issues with sexism and misogyny because we just witnessed this on a grand scale 1 week ago, and it's utterly appalling to see what we are going to have to deal with again. As a comedian, writer, and actor, and now talk show host, I am concerned. I am very concerned that our voice will vanquish with the freedom that we are about to lose. It doesn't have to be this way, but all we can do is stand up against sexism and misogyny, Here in Hollywood and in the entire state of California, I thought that we were over that, and how the world viewed us, and what we try to do and provide for both film and television. I really wish people would get their head on straight sooner rather than later, because this is a growing issue and a number one concern in the entertainment business. It's something I will continue to call out and address to all of our followers and to our loyal supporters who have brought us through the darkness in the past. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that must be valued and respected. You keep hearing these crazy narratives from lunatics that DEI is some kind of an ideology or forced message. No, it's just the right thing to support, especially when you are creating art, like film or television. So guys, let me just stop here about what Jimmy Kimmel is spewing. Now look, we already know that ABC is in shambles right now. Their ratings are a disaster when it comes down to programs like The View, Good Morning America, and in this case, Jimmy Kimmel Live. Now, Jimmy Kimmel really will never learn from his mistakes, much like other actors and actresses and producers, directors, and writers in this business, and he is on the same exact level. He says the most insane things out there. He just throws things against the wall to see exactly what's going to stick or what's going to work with his audience, and basically he can just throw whatever he wants, and his followers, his audience that typically loves what he has to say, are going to follow exactly whatever he has to deliver. Now, again, he's blaming everything on sexism, misogyny, and bigotry. That's basically The three main things that he likes to throw out there. I mean, can you count how many times he just said that over and over again? It's ridiculous. Now, here's the other thing, is that we already know that Jimmy Kimmel is by far, and I've said this before, far worse than Stephen Colbert. I think so. I don't know about you, but I view him as far worse than Stephen Colbert. When you look at somebody like Jimmy Kimmel, he will never learn from anything. He will never learn from the fact that the majority of this country and of the world, quite frankly, really don't want to listen to people that actually have millions upon millions of dollars in the bank, or somebody of his status in the Hollywood bubble to preach or to lecture them about a specific issue. Now, let's go on about this further. He goes on to conclude, we keep hearing these crazy narratives from lunatics, like I say. This is what we need to respect, and those that want to refrain from that, I think, are the living example of proof that we still have a very large issue with sexism and misogyny. It's sickening and depressing for women, especially for some women that don't know how to think for themselves, that are falling into these narratives driven by toxic men. And yes, I call them toxic because you just don't come out feeling better about yourself when you listen to these people. So I say this for the last time. Let's support and represent all that we can while we can in this business. I will continue to vocally support that and guide everybody through the time that we have on television, regardless of the situation. Now guys, I don't know about you, but this is sounding like the walls are closing in on Jimmy Kimmel. Now, we talked about how basically the Walt Disney Company, the studio heads over there, the executives, are quite frankly not happy at all about the ratings with The View, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Good Morning America in the past several weeks, honestly. It hasn't been looking good for them, and it really has not been looking good in the past 7 days. And we'll have a lot more to discuss on that in the coming days. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, yet again, is really begging for people to fall into the quote-unquote DEI narrative. And it's a real thing, by the way. This is a real thing that Disney is trying to push. They're trying to shoehorn into all programming of ABC, and they have been doing this, by the way. For those of you that do not know, ABC is indeed run by Disney. This is exactly why ABC is the worst of the worst programming out there. Now, look, Jimmy Kimmel at the same exact time, he's going to try to keep on addressing his view of these false narratives that he likes to call them, when in reality, it's coming from the general public, the majority of the public with common sense, that are calling out their false narratives, their true false narratives, right? People like Kimmel, Robert De Niro, George Clooney, Julia Roberts. I can go on and on all day about what they are spewing, about what they are throwing out into the world that is complete lies. And this is a constant thing coming from them within the Hollywood bubble, within the film industry. So with that being said, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about Kimmel. You know, what are your thoughts about him in 2024? As we head into 2025, it's going to be quite an interesting 2025 year to see how these people react. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.